Thankfully, with Peak Esports against SummYs single here on Train. Already to start things off, SummYs single have decimated the pistol round. Sensei's the only player remaining. And Peak didn't even get a sniff of the site before they all fell there. Don't really feel like this one's going to be too possible for Sensei, but he's found the first, and he's looking desperately for the second. He has found it. A third, if he grabs it, could definitely make this round really doable. It would be the ace clutch from Sensei, if he's able to pull it off. And certainly would be absolutely horrendous for the mental of SummYs single. Here, though, that now he's been gooshed down to just 3 HP. This may be a little too far of a stretch for him. He's a very talented player, we know, but some things are nigh on impossible for almost every player. And he's about to be spotted on the cross by Dexy as it is. Round finished off, round found and sorted out rather nicely by SummYs single. So now to get things started, SummYs single have everything they want into this round, and apparently what they want is an XM. They're going to be going in all the way this one as best as they possibly can hope for. In reality, that really does look a lot more like pistols for the Peak side. Just the Glock's the default weaponry, trying so desperately to overwhelm, but they're just feeding $900 every time he pulls the trigger to that XM, and Lout, he's having a field day. Now looking for the ace with it. And he's aced with an XM. Not often you see that, but it's eco frags. So take from that what you will. But he's got a lot of money now to go with that. Dropped over the AWP to Dexy as a result of getting all those frags in that round. Window closed to make sure we don't hear any dogs barking or people doing DIY. This time, Lout is able to find nothing. So from hero to zero, Sensei is able to quickly answer back as well with another frag to try and put Peak on the board as fast as they possibly can. That was SummYs to fall right away there. Nice frag, though, from Freestylers. Getting himself on the board early in just 2 rounds. He's already gained half of the frags that he had in the entirety of Inferno. But now Shattery has found a way out of Ivy. For a moment then, I really thought Shattery was going to die. He was looking the wrong way for all the wrong time. And as a result of that, I thought he was going to be thoroughly buggered. But thankfully for Shattery, he's able to get the frag and convert that into a bomb plant for Peak, who now need to be somewhat considerate of the B rotation coming in from these players. It is going to be Nem and Dexy remaining in a 2 versus 4. Whether they want to go for this or not, I would probably be inclined to not. Nem is doing considerable damage to Ganofi, though, so that might give them some indication that there's a reasonable attempt on here. I think it is going to be mostly from the side of Nem, though, and Dexy doesn't really want anything to do with it. So the low HPTs will vacate the site as promptly and as effectively as they can, making sure they don't lose these weapons that they desperately want to keep hold of into the next round. And thankfully, they don't. They keep a hold of it, and as do the CTs. Should be some form of a buy-on for the CTs here. It's not going to be great. We're not going to see multitudes of M4s and utility, but we'll see a light sprinkling of weaponry. We've managed to somehow stretch the money as thin as a FAMAS here for one player as well. And then SummYs will be able to get one of his own. So actually not too bad here from SummYs single. However, it's gone a lot worse for Peak as they already lose the first frag of the round as a result of a leg tag followed up by an HE grenade. And those kind of things are very helpful towards SummYs single campaign here. Holding once again on the B sites. Finds himself 2 kills before anything goes wrong. Now, Sensei grabs one on the return fire. We'll look for a second as he flashes his way out of the lower ramp. Unfortunately, though, Dexy has the right place at the right time to find the frag. And now it's going to be on Freddy to go for a 1 versus 3 clutch. He gets the first of those 3, but Nem is closing in, and the flashbang, he turns from it. In the end, it is going to be SummYs single with a 3rd round. And Peak yet to really find success in this frame. Once again, Ganofi getting absolutely bullied in Team main. That's the 2nd round in a row in which he's just been taken out as the first blood. Doesn't even know that it's going to happen to him either. He just gets flashed or some form of utility just absolutely nails him. And as a result of that, he's now out of the round. It's quickly followed up by the double AWP setup here, though, from SummY that ends up resounding out onto Shattery for a second. Now, what is there that Pete can offer, really? A 1 frag back in return, but not before SummY sliding out and stopping all of this madness. Thankfully, Nem is also there to trade out Freddy too, so that leaves it just up to Maze. And do I fancy his chances? Not a whole lot, but thankfully they do grab 1. Maze is doing what he can to damage the CT economy. If they can keep it as fragile as possible, when the winning ways start to come around for the T's, they might find themselves the benefactors of numerous rounds consecutively, just because of the damage that they keep doing.
Counter-terrorists win.
Boost in the connector this time to try and give that AWP a little bit of initiation, but at the moment it's not really going to be too effective, considering as Peak are not offering themselves up at Team main. Instead, it's going to be good old faithful. When you have no weaponry and you have no real buy, just rush B and try and get a plant. We're going to let Maze do the majority of the work here, considering as he's got that saved AK from the previous round, and we're just going to see what we can get out of it. And that's the best that Pete can really hope for. Freestylers will now wait until he sees some sign of movement before he chucks that Molotov down for optimum damage. Molly goes down, but they're already ahead of it. The majority of the players don't even take a scratch for damage from it. Up on top, though, is Loud. He can multi-frag his way out of this round. Maze falls, and that's the real threat gone. Shattery takes 1 frag to the grave with him, but that's all that they can muster. And SummYs single get themselves off to a very comfortable start here. And this is almost exactly the same thing that we saw in Peak's first best of 3 against Horus, where they dominated the first map. And in the second map, which coincidentally was Train, they got off to a pretty rough start and then couldn't quite recover. Clearly, Peak are a team that plays rather heavily on momentum. And when they can find that success and when they can find that momentum, they are almost unstoppable. But when they have to grind it out a little bit, and when the going gets tough and the pressure starts to be felt, that's when things can become a little less fun for them. nice frag though from Freddy to adjust onto Lout. If Lout hadn't have fallen there, the round would have pretty much been quite over for Peak at that point. Because he can then multi-frag into the site from that up top position that we've seen be oh so potent so many rounds before. And just with that, the straight bludgeoning into the B site, Ganoffy and the rest of Peak Esports have found themselves their first round in a while. Moreover, they are forcing the CTs to go and save, and unfortunately those CTs are going to be able to do so for the Peak side, as they don't really have the justification of funds to go hunting for it. So into the B site, it looks like Lout wants to get aggressive once again, looking to try and take a lot of territory away from Peak here, but it may result in his death, and has done this time around. That gives an opening here for Peak to go quickly in towards this B site before the CTs can rotate. They recognise that the B site is often only occupied by one player, and now Shattery, on a little bit of alert, can look to try and deal some damage. He's already grabbed one, and that will be all he'll try and go for before he slinks back into team main and scuppers to his team's aid. Again, 3 players will have to look to save here from the SummYs single side. Their money just is frankly not going to be good enough, and to try and sustain this double AWP setup with this level of economy is going to be extremely difficult. So you are going to be finding yourself saving a fair amount, but what's worse than that right here for SummYs single is they're actually enabling Peak to flawlessly execute this round, no damage taken, and as a result of that, they're also going to find themselves not really reinvesting too much by way of utility. Look, there's at least 3-4 players on this team that haven't expended all of their utility thus far, so the reinvestments coming into Peak are going to be very, very minimal. So SummYs single, run and hide, and get a triple AWP setup out this time around. Unconventional to say the least. I won't declare as to whether I disagree or agree with it or not for the time being, because it may still prove to be a potent outcome. But with 3 AWPs, you will find yourself extremely static. And if there's a fast play that comes in from Peak Esports and lots of smokes that you find it difficult to maneuver around and through, you might find yourself a bit screwed. Especially now that one of those AWPs is already taken down on a very nice coordinated beat. Now one of those M4s is taken down to follow suit as well. Freestylers hits the deck. Now Nem playing in from the pop dog position, spots the leg of one and also finds that frag onto Ganoffy. But unfortunately that is not going to be consequential as to how this ends up going. Dexy in from behind and actually managed to find one frag. I believe that was actually onto the bomb planter at the time, or at least the bomb escorter. Now, as a result of that, it leaves it just up to Lout with the third of these AWPs. The bomb looking to be planted here, but it's all a careful ruse, as right away goes Shattery to find that frag and again recover the AWP. So Peak starting to get a little bit of momentum under their belt here, starting to get some wind in their sails. The SummYs singles are finally unable to save what they had. It will be the force buy in here from SummY, or at least looks to be more of a conservative approach. Maybe a half buy is what you'd call this, with the FAMAS coming in just down to $1,800. Everybody else being relatively conservative, not buying any lower than $1,800, which will surely enable them a decent purchase in the next round with all the saving they've been doing. They don't really have a bad shape at the moment. SummY, the only player to find a frag thus far for SummYs single. It is SummYs single frag that gives SummYs single the win at the moment. Their only win for the time being. Freddy is guaranteed another frag onto Lout. Now an AK recovered for Dexy results in disaster as he manages to get 2, but ultimately is traded out, leaving SummY on 31 HP alone on the back of the site. But this could stack up nicely for him. He gets Freddy, but unfortunately Shattery is just a bridge too far. And even with the hefty reinvestments that are being made here by Peak, the money still favours them. There is going to be a very nice buy coming in here from SummYs single as we do tie things up at 5-5. A number of AUGs followed by an AWP and an M4A1S coming in from SummY. Meanwhile, on the flip side, it is 4 AKs and an AK... No, it's an AWP, my guy. Doesn't matter anyway, because the AWP on the CT side is consistently having Gnofi's number inside of T main. Gnofi must feel like he can get absolutely nothing started at the moment, because every time he's tried to make a play through T main or even be part of the default, he gets bested by an HE grenade, he gets bested by a flash push with an MP9, and this time an AWP. So he is first in and first out of the round every single time at the moment. Now an untraded frag goes on to Shattery, once again with the AWP of Dexy taking that one. And now finally these Augs can go to work too, as they've managed to find 2 more frags and Dexy cleans up with the third. Dexy at the moment is so ridiculously impactful on this A site. The AWP is having an absolute field day for SummYs single. And Peak Esports are finding themselves a little flummoxed with how to try and contend with it. You need to really get it out the round, but where is it going to be? It starts the round off at Connector. That round it moved its way toward Ivy. Previously, it's even gone and sanctioned itself up on B to prevent any further rotations. It's just very hard to keep track of. And now diving out of the team main position again is Maze. Entry fragging what he tries to do. Unfortunately, entry frags are not found, and it's just frags for SummYs single. They just get everything. 3 frags to only 1 reply from Gnofi, who will get the bomb planted, I believe, without any rebuttal, but really does seem like a bit of a hollow victory. Flashbang goes out, and Dexy is not going to be at home to receive it. Ample spray comes in from SummY. Now, Sensei in a 1 versus 4 clutch doesn't have the opportunity to go for the 4th because, well, he gets shot from behind after the first. So SummYs single will stretch their legs again back up to 7. Peak Esports, on the other hand, will remain there on 5. Double AWP setup gets resigned back over to SummYs single as well. Dexy's impact still being felt over here at the A side of things, so much so that Peak have had to resign themselves into straighting into with the B site. Flashbang in, bomb plant should be pretty much in right away, but Lout has actually found himself in a great position to trade 1 frag away. That's going to be better though from Sensei, and as soon as Sensei can get activated inside of a round, it could be over for you. We've seen it time and time again already. Looking for the 3rd frag now, but not quite able to find it at the first time of asking. Second time of asking he will though. Dancing a little bit with the opposition AWPer in Dexy, but Gnofi's in behind. The MAC-10 of Maze finishes it. And just like that, from a round in which they had no business really finding too much success, Peak Esports, they get themselves rather nicely up to 6. A little bit of a force buy ends up paying off, and the double AWP setup on the T side now gets handed over, considering the fact that they had to pick up a weapon, because Kanopi literally only had a deagle, and he killed the guy with the AWP. Couldn't have a chance to get towards any other weapon for the time being, so double AWP setup on the T side is what's offered up here. Maze looking to go aggressive with it, asserting his dominance early, and will get offered a frag. Does not get traded, thankfully, on the crossback either. There is going to be Lout holding with that one. Actually, it could even be SummY, but it is Lout in this instance. Interestingly enough, Dexy does not have the AWP this time around. And when he's been so impactful with it so far, you really would like to see that. I mean, continuing on. Them peeking back and forth, making sure that there's no advantages being given up here, but there are now. Dexy and Louts both chime in with a frag each, and in stereo, they find another with SummY. Just like that, Peak's little advantage they've managed to garner has completely fallen away due to their inability to decide on what it is they wanted to do. They've given the CT so much time to move in towards the areas of the map in which Peak want to try and keep control of, and now they're going to find themselves being harassed so heavily. Sensei has such a tall task on his hands to try and stay alive here. He's even going to have to Molotov himself away, finds the shot just before the flashbang nails him, but now he and Shattery, who only has a Galil, mind you, have 40 seconds to work a 2 versus 3 against a double AWP setup who are holding all kinds of angles, two of which they won't even know where they are, and Dexy, who's already found Shattery, and now Sensei is taken down to follow suit. 8-6. Peak are broke, really. Well, they just have to force in here or buy in more to the point, whatever it is that they can afford. Galil seems to be the order of business, followed up by one lone AK from Shattery and a deagle from Freddy. Meanwhile, triple AWP setup is now employed once again on the SummYs single side of things. They seem to be really leaning towards this, and I have absolutely no idea why. Last time they played it, they got absolutely worked around by pistols, mind you, because of the high mobility of it. This time around, Ganofi is once again beaten up in team aim. Lout follows suit with another 2 frags over towards the upper B halls. This looks like it's going to be a 9-6 half. Already an extremely laboured gunfight from Sensei. Finally taking down Shattery. Sensei's not long for this world. 9-6 for SummYs single. And Peak just can't seem to get the ball rolling when it comes to train. Struggle that little bit. Find their feet. Nice shot from Maze to open up the pistol round though on the CT side of things. Now Shattery can get busy as he looks up towards upper. Now we'll have to rotate down into the site to give Sensei some support, but it's all good because they're doing it alone. Just sorting it out, nailing it down. Only Ganofi falls in the process of the pistol round, and Peak will not let themselves waste too much time before they get back into it. Right in with denying the bomb plant. The rush over towards B is read rather nicely. There's 2 players stacked up inside of there with Shattery up top and Sensei down low. Works out very nicely with a quick rotation in from a couple of other players too. Now, Maze looks to try and get busy with the XM of his own. We saw an ace out of Lout with it in the previous half. Are we looking to see the same thing again? Well, I think not, as it's gone towards Pop Dog, and there is quite literally zero pressure over there from the team. However, the MP9 could get a fair amount done here for Freddy, as he turns around to try and look for the ace with the pistol, but in the end, all he finds is just death. Ganofi will finish it off in the end, and that's going to be a fair amount of money farmed up quite quickly for Maze and Ganofi Freddy. And they're going to look to try and stick with it to farm up even more cash. As Freddy now with 350, 150 even remaining in the bank because he's gone to pick up the FAMAS this time around. Upgrades people ever so slightly, but SummYs single are upgrading their own. They're going to be going into this round with a full buy, pretty much. Obviously, barring out on a bit of utility, and of course on the armor for the AWPer. So Glass Cannon here, as the first frag is already found. Sensei with the AWP of his own has gone extremely aggressively and has found the opener. Dexy still makes, of course, in this one with his AWP, and now there is a trade-in, but that's the XM taken down. Possibly the most inconsequential of weapons in a round like this. So I'm pretty sure that Peak won't be too upset that they've lost it. However, it does lose control of a certain area of the map in Pop Dog, which they would like to be very much in possession of. Ganofi here, though, already inside of T main, and could be in a position, providing this smoke doesn't give him up for free. Find a good couple of frags here. Flashbang goes in. Ganofi finds his timing and finds his frag. SummY gets taken down, and now he really should look to try and get away from this one. In the end, he and Shattery both combine to find another. Dexy rotates back with his AWP now. But already, Peak are doing such a good job at delaying time off the clock with that Molotov towards Pop Dog and the pressure in towards T-Main, that this is going to be a fairly inconceivable situation to dream of here for SummYs single. They've got such good priority, but now with that frag onto Shattery, they can actually look to open this up. A miss shot uncharacteristically from Sensei as well. Open up a possibility for victory here. Sensei comes right back in though. Crouching patiently behind the bomb train, will quickly flick for another frag. 21st frag of the game for Sensei, and if he can get the ball rolling down the hill very, very quickly on this CT side of the AWP, he is a force to be reckoned with, and he is extremely dangerous. He often cannot be stopped when he has the momentum on his side. We've seen crazy aces and 4K plays with him on the A site already this tournament thus far. I'm sure that we're going to see a fair more out of them over the course of this tournament, because Sensei, well and truly, is delivering. Shattery, once again, about to be under a lot of pressure over towards Ivy. He backs off and calls for the assistance of Ganofi, and together they're able to find themselves a 4K nearly. Got there in the end. Ganofi nearly messed that up a little bit. There was the assistance, of course, from Sensei, who managed to grab one of them. Peak have found 4 consecutive rounds off the back of this first half, and they're now finally getting themselves back into the lead. 9-10, SummYs single. Still yet to put themselves on the board in this second half. Toward T-Main they go. Looking to try and exert a bit more pressure over the A site again this time here for Peak. Not quite having the result they're looking for. Shattery is playing with fire over here at Ivy. Thankfully, too bad. Self alive for the time being and try and give Peak the advantage. Being patient. Smoke goes in now to the left side. Play is about to come in here soon. But a noise heard there as Nem drops his pistol out. Now Maze waits. He's already found one player because his teammate's been taken down. Ganofi once again punished, but Maze looking to do everything he can to try and turn the odds in their favour, and they have done. 2 nice frags coming in from Maze, one more over at the B side of things from Freddy, and this should be the opening that they're looking for. The final 2 players that remain are coming in from Ivy, and Shattery should have his eyes trained on this position, but actually he turns away at the wrong moment, gets himself tagged on the retreat, and now Maze on top of the blue train looks to try and find Impact 2, and he does so. With Shattery's assistance, they get themselves all the frags required. 11 rounds onto the board. And thank you, Cathro, for the raid. Appreciate that, my guy. Sliding in. Maze grabs the first. Against these pistols, this should be a relatively quick and easy round for Peak, who really seem to have figured it out on their CT side. They know exactly what they want to do here, and they know exactly how they want to execute on this. First round all against them, though. There is going to be some recovery to be found, as Ganofi does manage to snag the final 2 frags on the A side of things. The only remaining player is looking to try and wrap back now towards B, or from B. And there it is. Dexy gets finished off by Shattery with the second of the double AWP setup. And moreover, Peak's economy is swelling. It is bulging at the seams with the cash that they're able to produce. Look at this. Nearly $10,000 on Freddy. Of course, that was previously above $10,000. And we've also got the same total looking to be true here on Sensei. Got a lot of money starting to stack up here for Peak, because a lot of the rounds they're finding are being very, very cute and cuddly. Opens up. Sensei with the first frag. Easy enough to find. Sensei with the second frag. Now looking to swing out for the third frag. Has found that one right away as well. Fourth, not quite possible. Dexy executes him, but Shattery's there for the trade frag. And in the end, it's the same result. Peak with another. They're running over this round thus far. 13 in this half, and they're yet to find a response from SummYs single. They led the half at 9-6. Since then, it's been one-way traffic. 6 consecutive rounds coming in from Peak Esports, looking now to make that 7. Up against the AKs and the Galil once more. This will be the last of the money that SummYs single have before they need to take some kind of a half buy, providing they don't get a bomb plant out of this. Now, Molotov goes in towards the pop dog position to delay any further pushes. That's not going to be coming in right away, but Maze and Ganofi are looking to try and set up a bit of a peak together. They're looking to try and play off one another, trying to give each other as much of an advantage as possible. Right about now, though, Peak are looking to try and open things up. Flashbang goes in. Doesn't really do much to open it up right now, considering as Nem is on the case and the Galils are actually starting to do work. Oh no, this is all falling apart for Peak. They've been pinched out on the A site and now are dropping towards Pop Dog, results in the death of Ganofi. Now it's going to have to be on Sensei and Freddy to clutch this up, and who else do you want to call upon when you need a clutch but Sensei? He is now 1-on-2. He's already fended off the first 2 before Freddy fell, and now this could prove to be a very crucial junction in the game for Sensei to find this clutch. Providing he's able to, this could be absolutely mega. I think he might have a feeling it's going over towards B, or maybe at least just wants to relocate towards Connector. Maybe feels like that's his best opportunity to try and get into this round. For the time being, he needs one peak. He needs one frag. Dexy's holding Connector. He's holding it from a couple of pretty unconventional angles. It doesn't matter though. Sensei's found the frag. It comes to a 1 versus 1. Sensei looking for the 1-on-4 clutch. Freestylers is just round the corner, but is it going to be a problem or not? He's going to try and fake out the bombs. He fused, and it's Freestylers who finds the right peak at the right time to give SummYs single their first in this half. 10 rounds comes around, but Peak Esports, they've got money for days. They can buy still. In fact, that money for days seems to have very quickly evaporated with this double AWP setup being employed. Got a high salary, that double AWP setup. Sensei. God, he's so fast! He just goes in, whips down Dexy for fun, and now they have to go from a 4 versus 5 just like that. Another shot is taken, but this time it's by the recovered AWP on SummY. How do you fight against Sensei like that? He was in a 1 versus 4 in the last round and nearly turns that in his favour. And this round, he doesn't even want to let it get to that point. So he takes the matters into his own hands. The initiative is his, and he rips away with that first frag. Now Maze is initially tempting fate a little bit over here at Pop Dog. Some support from Ganofi if things get a little over. Already, Ganofi's in an engagement of his own. That HE grenade is fairly nice. It finds Maze, a frag with Lout. Now Nem. Looking to try and pressure through the smoke. He actually takes Ganofi with him. Still, Pop Dog proves to be a problem as Maze just holds at it. SummY desperately looking for the frag, drops down with the AWP that he's recovered off of his teammate's corpse, and now looks to try and do something with that to try and deny 14 for Peak. But I'm afraid that when Shattery's on the case, you're going to get legged, not fragged up, but the HE grenade soon to follow is inconsequential because the P250 is what ends it. Sensei with his 30th frag of the game, another 30 bomb performance from Sensei. This is the 3rd or 4th of the tournament thus far, I believe. Sensei finding some unreal form. The young Austrian. From a relatively unrepresented region as well, I must say. Austria in itself does not have a great deal of CSGO teams. Or even players. So to see one of them performing so well, a pretty highbrow competition, fills me with a lot of joy. It fills me with a lot of hope that the Austrian CS community does have something to offer. Now, unfortunately, that aggressive play in towards B didn't really yield too many results. Is now going to be worked upon here over on the A side of things. And Sensei and Shattery are both posted up with the AWPs towards Ivy. Looking for a peek, and Sensei's found the first. Now a second needs to be offered up. It's on top of the site. Whether he knows it or not is a different question, as Maze has found Dexy. Now all that remains is Lout, and he's taken down 2. Maze grabs it nicely. And Peak Esports have found 15. Oh, that's a bit of a miss smoke from Dexy. They'll want to have that one back. Now that's something that's... Oh, knock at the nades! Oh, the damage is so good! But is it going to be enough to win them the round after they've lost the first frag? Well, Ganoffy seems to think so. He's found one. He's found a second. Shattery's found a third. It's all going down. It's all left up to Nem for their upper bracket hopes to continue. And just like this, Peak have come alive, just as they did in their first best of 3 versus Horus. Come alive on the CT half. Works so well. There we go, 16 to 10.